Hey everybody, this is Harrison, aka Purgle1 with Level 1 Gaming, and I am so relieved and thrilled to tell you that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a ton of fun. Do not believe the hate. Do not believe anybody that's hating on ragging on this game. It is a ton of fun. And in this video, I'm mainly going to cover what my early / review impressions are of the game. I've played about 8 hours of it so far, and I barely think I've scratched the surface, but I will put up a full review later next week, but I just want to go ahead and let everybody know and give some positivity to the game that it is worth your money. Just for starters, I can go ahead and say that this shooter, for being a shooter, almost has fighting game-like mechanics. You know, you've got counters, and just like the Doom mechanic of doing glory kills, you only get your shields back in this game by doing damage to a point where you can press right trigger to trigger a shield break and basically an execution style finisher. And this is the only way that you can restore your shields. And along with that, like I mentioned, the counter system. If an enemy, such as a sniper, is about to shoot you, there is a mechanic that you can quickly scope in and press a button to essentially counter that move, and that'll stun them. And as you get further in the game, you discover that you have a combo system. And the combo system works like typical other combo systems, but not like something that we've usually seen in a shooter. So you can get skills and perks, such as if you get your combo to level 10, you know, you have your shields regenerated 20%, you get damage reduction, 15 gives you a different streak, 20, and so on and so forth. All these mechanics make the gameplay just honestly a ton of fun because you're constantly juggling so much. And along with that, just traversing the map so far has just been a ton of fun. And each of these 4 characters has a different way that they traverse the map. And just along with that, each of these characters plays completely different. Again, that keeps things super fresh in this game. So Deadshot is a typical soldier / sniper of the group. He has a jetpack that he gets around the map with. And while you can get across the map, I think for him a little slower than other characters, the jetpack rounds him out because you can hover in midair while you're shooting or throwing grenades down on top of people. And his skill set is much more, tuned to taking enemies out from afar. Meanwhile, Harley is more of a run and gun type character. She has her bat, which is a lot better than Deadshot's wrist cannons for up close combat. And she's much more nimble than some of the other characters, and she's really good with explosives. And I think the way that Harley traverses the map is going to be the way that most players are familiar with. She gets Batman's old gadget, so she can basically Spider-Man herself across the city and use his grapple shot as in previous games, but with the added bonus of a Batman drone that flies a little bit ahead of you, so you can fire the grapple shot to that when there's no buildings around, so you can just keep on swinging. And then you've got King Shark, who's obviously the best out of all of them. King Shark's just always the best. King Shark is more of your usually heavy style character in some games. He's able to carry, miniguns, basically heavier weapons, and has much greater mobility with them. Along with that, he's actually pretty agile, but since he is a god, he has, the ability to leap across the city in leaps and bounds. And along with this, he can take just more damage than the other characters. And then finally, we've got Boomerang. Boomerang obviously uses his boomerang, but here he uses the boomerang combined with Flash's speed gauntlet to kind of move throughout the city. So when you throw your boomerang out, wherever it goes, when you release the button at that distance, that's where you'll teleport to. Doing this makes him kind of unpredictable, and that's a lot of fun to play as because he's more of a hit and run type character. And he's great for just zipping around the battlefield and taking all the flak, taking all the aggro off some of the other players. And along with this, his playstyle sometimes can be more chaotic as well, in that he can use shotguns as well as assault rifles and sniper rifles, kind of making him an all-around player compared to some of the other people. And all these characters have their own unique skill trees, different counters, different combos and what those build to, different skills. And I honestly found that each of these characters is unique enough that it brings something fresh to the game, and they just don't all feel the same. So the first few hours I mainly played as Deadshot, and I loved using a sniper rifle, being able to, hover and use his jetpack to get around. And after I leveled him up a little bit, I switched to Harley, and doing so, it's a completely different way or style of playing the game. Whereas with Deadshot, I was used to just being able to hover above ground or jetpack behind people and hover and to kill them. Harley can't do that. She's much more on her feet, and a great thing that you can do with her is that if you have enemies on a rooftop or on the edge of a rooftop, you can use the grapple shot to just flick up right behind them and start causing chaos. And it really does cause you to think and play the game in a very different way. Along with that, if you're playing by yourself, you will have the 3 other bots with you. And so far in my experience, albeit, like I said, only 7 or 8 hours, the bots have been fairly competent. And what's great is that you can level them up and equip them with gear just as the same way that you would yourself, so that they're, progressing with you. And oh, something great I forgot to mention is that you can switch between any of these characters at just any moment. When you pick a character at the very beginning of the game, you're not locked into that character. And switching between these characters on the fly is also a ton of fun. I've yet to experiment a lot with doing that in a battle, but I could foresee the game later on, encouraging you to switch between all the characters if you're playing by yourself. Plus, you're going to want to rank up your bots anyway, just so you can get them better gear and give them more skills, etc. And another really unexpected but awesome way the game, lets you control or play with the bots is that this game pretty much has the pawn system from Dragon's Dogma, which is not something I expected whatsoever, but has been super awesome to experiment with. So for example, the person I've been playing this game with the most in co-op mainly sticks to King Shark, and I've mainly been sticking with Deadshot. So when I play by myself, my King Shark is still level 1, whereas I'm like a level 7 or 8. So my King Shark doesn't have any good gear, I haven't unlocked any skills for them, and overall having him in my squad just as a level 1 bot isn't doing me any favors. But what's so cool and awesome they did here is that you can bring in your friends' characters as bots. So I can bring in my friend's King Shark into my squad so that my King Shark now has the same abilities, weapons, loadout gear as my friend. And you can outfit your entire squad this way. And doing this also gives my friend or whoever persons you bring it in, it gives them gear, XP, and loot as well, so it benefits both parties. And this is such a cool, unexpected feature that I never expected to see in this game. And it's honestly really great, and I really appreciate them doing that. Because if you are playing by yourself and you're used to playing with friends, having their bot there helps a lot. And it doesn't make you feel like you need to go back and spend 3 hours leveling up the characters that you haven't been playing as just to keep them equal with the character that you've been playing as. Speaking of gear and loadouts, since this is a live service style game, the gear I found so far isn't obnoxious with annoying stuff like plus 2% elemental damage or 0.67 increase to fire rate. All the gear I've found so far has much more unique elements, such as a shield mod that increases ammo pickup radius by 20%. I've yet to find one that's just like, now it increases it by 21%. Everything I've found so far, even the weapons, is pretty unique and has different traits to it that doesn't make it feel like you're just using the same 4 weapons over and over and over again. And I'm sure as I get farther in, I'll start seeing the same repeat of some weapons. But so far, after the many hours that I've put into it, I've yet to find a gun that just feels like, oh, this is the same gun I just had. It's just, it does 10 extra damage. And as far as all the live service mechanics go, they're very unintrusive. And Rocksteady has already, spoken a little bit about the post-launch content we'll see, and it all sounds honestly pretty great and kind of the gold standard for what games should have battle passes and seasons moving forward. So each season, and I'm told the first one will start a few weeks after launch, so each season will bring in a battle pass that is, I think, 75 tiers that includes both a free and premium track, and the season passes and battle passes never expire, which is great. And each new season introduces a new area, gear, missions, and also a free new character. Everything, the map, the missions, the gear, the character, it's all free, which is absolutely great. And if you're not playing this with friends, like I said, and just playing by yourself with bots, it really just feels like a normal single player game. The live service elements are really not that intrusive as much as I thought they would be, which is great. What's also great and just absolutely top notch is the writing, the cutscenes, the production, all of it, and the story included is just fantastic. I won't go into any spoilers here or ruin anything for the story, but they've really nailed these characters. I've had multiple laugh out loud moments, and just every time a cutscene comes on, it's a joy and a pleasure just to watch these characters interact. And after playing it for this long, I really only have 2 knocks I can put against the game, or negatives, and they're both very minor but worth bringing up. The main knock I have for the game is that the sound from the weapons sometimes is just really lackluster. They feel kind of floaty and, lack a punch. But sometimes you get a bolt action sniper rifle that sounds and feels great to use. It's very chunky and heavy. And other times if you're using a pistol or an SMG, everything just kind of feels like you're like just pop, 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 and there's no weight or bass behind it. Along with that, I wasn't super thrilled about the way the game started. It starts out with a weird tutorial story section where the 4 members of the Suicide Squad have to meet up at a certain point, and it plays through each of the characters. So Deadshot gets there first, you play as Deadshot, then it switches to King Shark, you get there as King Shark, and so on and so forth. And while this tutorial does do a great job of introducing you to all the characters, getting used to all their unique abilities and traversal mechanics, it starts just kind of out of nowhere. You start the game and all of a sudden you're hearing a voiceover by Harley just talking about Metropolis, and then you see Deadshot walking on a highway, then you're playing as him. And that's all it gives you. And as you play further into it and you get to the end of the tutorial, it then flashes back to 7 days earlier, which again is kind of, I don't know, it just felt like there should have been a bigger cutscene, or the way that the game actually starts with the 7 days later is how the game should have actually began. It just felt a little too abrupt, or like we're missing something, but once you get past these 10 or 15 minutes, you're gonna have a great time. And a big part of that great time is that even, 7 or 8 hours into the game still is introducing new mechanics, new combos, new counters to keep things fresh, which is going a very long way in keeping the gameplay just feel absolutely wonderful. So those are just my early review impressions. I'll have a full review up next week once I'm actually able to beat the game. But I just wanted to tell everybody that, this game is worth getting, and just shine a little positivity on this game from all the hate it's getting. And if you're someone out there who is hating on this game without playing it, or is constantly posting spoilers everywhere, I hope one day you find peace and happiness in your life. But until then, y'all should check out Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I'm having an absolutely wonderful time with it. Whether you're playing it co-op with friends or playing it in single player by yourself, it'll be an absolutely great time. All right, we'll see y'all next time for the full review next week. Bye.